Beeple Studios and Rough House Pictures have teamed up for something bold, bizarre, and totally original, and only here in Charleston. Synthetic Theater, a night of live AI experiments. Joining us to talk more about this exciting and yes, almost sold out event is the one and the only digital artist, Beeple, whose given name is actually Mike Winkelman. Good to have you back.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I know I asked you this before, is it Mike or is it Beeple? But I think for purposes here, can I call you Mike?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
All right. So this sounds like the coolest thing ever. All right, so Rough House Pictures, headed up by none other than Danny McBride. Already, I'm getting like the synergistic of these minds that are just so expansive and imaginative. Match made in heaven.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I've been a massive fan of Danny's work since Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, I know,
and
who
so
hasn't,
it was
right?
Just, this was such a dream, and so, it's very surreal to be, doing this project with him. But
and you both called Charleston home.
Yep. Yeah.
So
he just a number of people have kind of asked how this came about, and I'm not 100% sure. He came to some of the events, he came to the opening of the studio, and then we just kind of started talking, and it just kind of happened fairly organically, from that of wanting to do something kind of in the vein of Spoleto, but that was a bit more sort of our kind of tone.
Right. Okay. And the thing is you as a digital artist, in fact, your work featured at the Gibbs downtown, which was so cool, by the way. That was a really fun exhibition. But when you're combining now art, AI, the digital space, plus acting, plus theater, how did all those things converge in that way?
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. It's definitely, it is a mix of different things. And I think having the studio, which is very sort of experiential and has sort of wraparound projections, allows us to do things that a normal kind of theater production could not do. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we want to kind of explore. And then you add in these sort of AI tools, some of which are, just came out in the last few months. Mm-hmm. Shows the pace at which this stuff is sort of accelerating. And I think something that we're really excited to highlight these new possibilities.
Oh, yeah. And of course, Danny McBride, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's very creative.
Super.
As are you. Very creative. Does your natural senses of humor, do those go well together to then come about this synthetic theater?
100%, yeah. I think we both have sort of a bit of a dark sort of sense of humor. And It's been great to see how he can sort of take... We sort of had a very sort of simple kind of idea or basic kind of start of the idea of what the show could kind of be. But it was amazing to see how he could take that and sort of flesh it out and keep pushing to make it so that everything that's happening feels like the next kind of logical thing.
Uh-huh.
And so seeing that process and how he sort of went about that, to me, was just fascinating and such a cool opportunity.
I'm sure.
To kind of learn from him in that way.
Do you think it's much unlike actually filming, say, a series or a movie, that it was
I think
similar to that?
It's similar in that he was able to sort of push us on the story to have it be more believable, in a way that I think I was just kind of well, we're just making things up.
Right.
And he's well, let's, kind of kept pushing to try and make it so that each thing that happened felt like the next logical thing that sort of would happen. And so... it was just really cool to see that.
And I know if you're one of the lucky few that actually get to go and see it in person, you want to kind of keep it, somewhat under wraps. But it sounds like there's a central story that all of this sort of blossoms from. Yeah,
it's kind of it's really showing a different sort of kind of take on sort of a variety show where AI is part of the variety show. And so we've got a number of different acts that we're doing, from dance to music to sort of film, and kind of showing how AI can be weaved into those different mediums.
Oh, interesting.
And so I think that to me is, again, something that really, with a lot of this stuff, was only possible very recently.
Right,
so
right.
something, it's not like, oh, I've seen this at like a play before. It's like, well, this was only possible, you know.
Yeah. Do you think that once it debuts here in Charleston that you might take this on the road, that this could be explored elsewhere, or is this really only in Charleston?
Well, that's an interesting question. Let's just get through these first 2 nights.
Okay.
But I think it is definitely something that I think you could potentially sort of do elsewhere.
Syndicate.
It does require a certain level of technology, though, I will say that.
Yes.
And so I think it really is made, at least this kind of version, for our specific like studio and how we have things kind of like set up.
Okay.
But it could be potentially sort of like
very
done.
interesting.
But
All right. Oh,
just-
with bated breath. With bated breath, my
Yeah.
God. Okay, so the 2 nights are?
The 2 nights are October 3rd and 4th, so
Friday
they're
and
coming
Saturday.
quick.
Yeah, I know. I don't have mine on either. 2 freckles past a hair.
We got a couple days here to tighten her up.
That's right. Okay. But we're going to take a break here. So when we come back, I want to hear a little bit more about the future of Beeple and the future of AI in general when it comes to digital art. So why don't we do that in 2 minutes? We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been having the pleasure of chatting with artist Beeple, digital artist Beeple, also known as Mike Winkleman, and a great event that's happening Friday and Saturday at his studio, hosted by Danny McBride, that we all know from Righteous Gemstones and Eastbound and Down and Tropic Thunder and all the wonderful things. But of course, heading up Rough House Pictures, which finds its home here in Charleston. So it's a really cool thing to collaborate 2 Charleston artists now, you know, that is doing something so unlike anything else. But you've always done something nothing like anybody else. And I'm curious about what the future holds aside from synthetic theater this weekend, but just what you're working on as a digital artist and what you're hoping to see in the world of AI.
Yeah, so it's definitely a huge part of the practice now, and something that, you know, I'm very excited about, and every day find new sort of possibilities that just are insane to think, you know, just a few years ago that this would absolutely not be possible. So some of the other things that we do at the studio, a big focus is making these sort of like sculptures, and so we've got these giant sort of sculptures similar to the ones that were at the Gibbs, where a lot of the sort of like latest ones that we've built have AI sort of like capabilities that you know, allow us to use AI to make videos that we just couldn't make otherwise.
Sure.
And to me, that's the most exciting use cases of AI. Not necessarily the shortcuts to doing things faster, although I think that's very interesting too, but doing things that you couldn't do without AI. And I think there's obviously kind of a lot of apprehension around AI and sort of, you know, it's disruptive kind of qualities, which I think is, you know, valid, but I think to me, there is a huge, huge amount of potential for it. And so understanding what this tool can do, and understanding how it allows humans to do more, I think, you know, makes people hopeful and, you know, sort of excited about the technology and inspired by it versus sort of like scared of it.
When you first came on the scene with your work, it was truly unlike anything anyone was doing. And then, of course, your NFT, which still to this day holds the record for selling for the most at auction, which is truly remarkable, to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. I mean, it really so groundbreaking, the work that you do. I'm wondering, you know, now that everyone has access to AI, are you concerned about, you know, having to keep up with the level of creativity? How do you set yourself apart when pretty much anybody can take this, that, and the other and put it into a soup and out it comes?
100%. I think it is something that it really does, to me, raise the bar of creativity. I think there's a lot of people who have a sort of like misconception about AI, that this is the end of creativity because it makes it easier for people to make things. And to me, I think that's the exact opposite. I think it will allow everybody to be able to make things, and it will actually raise the bar, because now you need to make something that's truly new and novel, not just kind of like, oh, that's like a pretty picture. Before you would look at it and be like, oh, wow, that's cool. I look at many things now that if I would have seen them like 5 years ago, I would have been like, wow, that's crazy. And I look at it now, it's like, yeah, it's fine.
Isn't that something?
And I think it's
how quickly we get over things. We get jaded so easily.
You're just like, oh, that's not bad. But it's like, and so to me, I think you really need to have a truly new, novel idea with that.
I wonder, how do you keep breaking boundary after boundary after boundary? But then I guess we kind of have been doing that for most of human history anyways, so why should it even stop now?
I think the difference is that it's going very fast.
It is
now.
going at the speed of light.
It's going really fast now, and I think that's the part that even I'm like, someone who's very excited about AI is kind of like, this is moving pretty quick now.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was wondering about that. So even from your perspective, with all the experience that you have,
it's moving very quickly, and I think it is going to be a, honestly disruptive technology. And so I think acknowledging that and sort of like, okay, having those conversations, to me is something that I think is important and is kind of, this is not just a net positive technology. Like there will definitely be sort of unexpected, kind of consequences from it. And so I think, that's another thing that the play is trying to kind of sort of like show is a more sort of nuanced picture of it. And so, I think it's really, to me, just insane just in my lifetime, how far things have come, and then sort of like projecting out, to where it's going to be in their lifetimes. It's just like, what the, I can't.
What are we going to see in the next 44 years?
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. This is always such a pleasure to talk with you. A very exciting event happening. It's Saturday and Friday this week. Make sure you get your tickets if you still can. Always just such a wonderful learning experience having a chat with you, Mike.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this.